Poetry is crucially important to us as a people. As William Carlos Williams said, it is hard to get the news from poetry, but men die every day for lack of what is found there. And I think that it's so important, it's so beneficial to Kentucky, to the country, that high school students are being asked to read these poems closely, to think about how they sound on the tongue, to make a performance out of these poems, this art that was originally and still remains an oral art. For the students, I think it forces them, encourages them, and forces in the sense that in order to perform the poem, and most students love to perform, they do have to pay close attention to it, attention to the words, attention to the way the words taste and sound on the tongue. And I think this will give them a taste for poetry that one hopes they will keep for the rest of their lives.
A couple of words about why I believe Poetry Out Loud is critical to not only our students, but students in general. Howard Gardner of Harvard University wrote a book about multiple intelligences, and one of those intelligences is creative intelligence. The problem is that too often in our school system, we are so focused on verbal and logic and mathematical intelligence and spatial intelligence, which is basketball, that we don't really do anything about creative intelligence. It seems to me that this program is an opportunity for students to exercise their creative intelligence. It's an opportunity for them to flex those muscles that otherwise atrophy, unfortunately, in our system. It's also a way of introducing students to serious writing and a way to create another generation, not only of writers, but of consumers, let's say, of poetry. So for all of those reasons, I think it's really beneficial, and I applaud the Arts Commission's efforts to keep it going.
I'm delighted that here in Kentucky we have a Poetry Out Loud program. When I was a youngster growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, there were poetry recitation contests then. I was this winner for my school a couple of times. Memorizing the poems and presenting them to an audience gave me an intimacy with language and with the way the poetic mind moves that I would not have had I simply read the poems. When you memorize something, it becomes a part of you, not only for then, but also for the future. I still have some of those poems with me that I learned then. So it delights me to see that here in Kentucky there's a huge program that takes into account what poetry can mean to young people. It benefits our nation because it introduces a variety of voices, skilled voices in the authors of the poems as well as in the young people who read them. I feel that one of the things that we need to do in our country is to talk more openly to each other. Poems often do open up the heart and mind of the writer. So we have practice in telling the truth and being honest and creating beauty through greater familiarity with poetry than we would have otherwise. I hope it can extend even into political conversations, that this truth-telling that is at the heart of all poetry. Not being afraid to express your view when it's a different view.